Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the December Energy Update. And let me tell you, it's a doozy. It's about coming to terms with all parts of you because you need to release the parts that aren't serving you and take hold of the ones that are and make some shit happen.
So, what does that look like? That looks like your choice between three things the energy's coming through loud and clear. First one is ignorance. Damn, we see a lot of that.
Yeah.
The second one is awareness. And the third one is growth. So, these are three different levels where people are sitting right now: ignorance, awareness, and growth. And you're probably automatically brain calculating, yep, Aunt Susie is in ignorance, and Uncle Joe, because you just came off the holidays, is in full blown growth mode. He's kicking ass, and you're starting to calculate and categorize and judge. And it's all about in here. We're coming back to ourselves, and I'm not saying to judge and categorize yourself. We're talking about using awareness to understand when you fall into ignorance, because we all do. This isn't levels of the growth people are better than the ignorance people and easier to deal with. Yes, maybe, but we all fall into all these categories. We flow in and out of them because that is part of life, because you don't know what you don't know. So
That is true.
ignorance is just a common part of living on this planet.
Yeah,
None of
yeah.
us like to be ignorant, and that's when you really practice and lean into that awareness so you can get into that growth stage.
And I think a lot of us like to think that we know a lot of shit, which we do, yeah, to a point. And also, I think that when we get to that, I think I know everything, that's when you should really check yourself.
That's when you're being really ignorant.
Yes.
The more you know, the
Yeah.
deeper you're into your spirituality and the deeper you're into universal energy, the less and less you'll actually
Right.
know.
Let me tell you something. There is nothing more powerful than you saying to yourself or to saying to somebody, you know what? I really don't know. And that's okay. And that's our cat concurring.
Yes. We apologize for the
What's
very loud
going on?
screaming. What do you have to say, Minnie?
She's got some stuff.
Yeah, you ask her what she has to say. Silence. See,
I
that's
know,
that's
right?
the wisdom of the cat. So this is like a lot of silence going on.
Yeah.
So your awareness is when you're gaining all of that energy and you're starting to learn. You're stepping more and more out of the ignorance. And then that growth piece, you're sinking into that silence. And you're ebbing and flowing between these two. Because in the silence, you're not like having to point out all the things that you're doing wrong or you're doing right. In that silence, you're actually just being, just enjoying, just finding your peace.
When I sit in stillness, there is a knowing energy sitting there. I'm assuming it's coming from the parts of me that know better. And, connecting to the universe, to God, to however you want to call it. And there is this knowing when you're sitting in that stillness, and you can hear so much in that silence as well, because it's loud. It's louder than you would think. And a lot of the times when I get to that point, it's deafening. It's just the weirdest thing. It's hard to explain sometimes when it comes to energy, because it's something that you don't see but you can feel, and sometimes you can hear it. So it's hard to explain, to put words to it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not loud like you just walked into like a room with a bunch of people
No.
fighting and screaming at each other. It's loud like, I don't know, think of whatever the most beautiful music that you can possibly think of, and then like you're just walking into, like, for me, I love classical music. You're walking into the middle of this symphony just playing around you, like, and that's all you can hear is this just beautiful flowing magical sound, energy.
Peaceful. It's very peaceful to me. Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, like when I listen to house music and there's a certain beat, which is a vibration, which is an energy, it makes me feel like I'm soaring like a bird, and just like there is this freedom, there is this. It's so awesome to be in that. So I'm consistently, going there, craving it and wanting it, and making sure that I'm achieving it, because it's just so awesome. And a lot of the times I forget that I need to come back to this
And carry that energy back
and
out
carry
with
that
you.
energy back out. Exactly.
So, what the energy of December is really calling for you to do is start identifying your patterns. That's what awareness is, just identifying the patterns. Like we were around a lot of people, and my humor is kind of sarcastic and dry, and I heard myself doing a lot of that. And so I was just looking at it with curiosity, looking at it with awareness. And then I'm like, am I doing that because I'm being hypercritical? Or is it just funny? Or is it just like a default thing? Is it like, and I just started like looking at like why I'm saying what I'm saying and how I'm saying what I'm saying. And I just kept communicating and talking and laughing with people and enjoying them. But there's just this thing going on in the background where I'm taking a look at it. Or after the fact, when I'm reflecting on the time I had with people, I might take a look at like how an interaction went, and how could that have maybe been more fulfilling or not. How can I shift things?
Yeah.
And that's where the growth comes in. After you've had the awareness and you see those patterns, that's when you decide to choose not to repeat a certain cycle that's not serving you, or you choose to just make a different choice. Like if this comes up again, or if I see that person again, I'm going to do this because I think that might work better and that would feel better for me. You can be a new you anytime you want.
Yeah,
And
just
so,
make a different choice.
yeah,
That's all you have to do to change it up. And just make a different choice.
and keep making the different choice.
Exactly. You're used to doing this. Do that. You know, and that's the where the change comes into place. And that's what we want to do all the time. We consistently want to be evolving. So
Exactly. And so that's another energy that we're really ushering in strong here in December, is as you start making these changes, as you fluctuate and move between the ignorance and the awareness and the growth, parts of you are going to fall off. They're going to feel like a million. Russ, the rapper, we were just on a chat thing with him the other day, and yesterday actually,
yeah,
and he says it feels like a million tiny little deaths.
yeah,
And tiny little deaths can feel like a death by paper cuts. Like, they're these little things, but they hurt so much. It's just crazy how hard it is sometimes for letting parts of ourselves go. I heard some stories about different people's Thanksgivings and what they experienced, and it made me realize that what the energy coming in is really trying to say is to take a step back and really look at what people are going through, not just what's right and what's wrong and who you like and who you don't. I mean, those things are just going to calculate in your head, whatever. They come in, they go out. But when somebody's standing in front of you that you think maybe is annoying, or maybe is over the top, or maybe is, just sulking around, or whatever you're categorizing them as, you don't know their story. So remind yourself of that. But also, one of the stories I heard was somebody that came in and they were being like larger than life and really animated. And then when a different person walked into the room, their energy totally softened and totally shifted. So what that's telling me, I mean, I wasn't there, I don't know these people, but what that's telling me is that this person was being over the top because that was probably a protective mechanism for them. So what do you do? How do you act when you're starting to get uncomfortable? Or maybe you don't even realize you're getting uncomfortable, but if you're being aware of how you're acting and what you're saying, like I always, do this to push people away, or I always get extra comical, or I always take care of people more, because then that insulates me because I'm just playing this character that I've realized I can like kind of navigate life easier that way. So you can be like, oh, okay, I'm doing that. So something inside of me is not feeling okay right now. Maybe I'm going to excuse myself and I'm going to go get some water and take a second, or, go to the bathroom and really, what's going on with me? What's going on with me? Why am I being like that? And I think when this other person came in the room and the energy calmed down and softened, it must have been somebody that either they had a trust for, or somebody that balances them, or somebody that calls them on their shit, like, hey, you're acting up, what's going on? So they know to calm down because, okay, that's not going to fly with this person. So this is where you really employ your curiosity and just watch and observe. You don't have to be like, yeah, no, like it doesn't have to be healthy boundaries. Yes, but that's not the theme of this month. It's just the way it was coming through for me was that it's the all is one energy. I know, like when I'll watch like a reality show or something, there's characters I'm like, oh my God, I can't stand that person. I hope they get like voted off next or whatever. And then there's people like, oh, I love that person. I want them to win. And then as the story goes on, because it's all story, it's all creative editing and what they want you to feel and think while you're watching this thing, all of a sudden they show somebody's backstory and character development, and suddenly you understand why they've been acting the way they have, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't know that they've been through that. That makes sense. And now you start to kind of like them a little bit. Like you never know. So if somebody's feeling like not your cup of tea, okay, I don't know their whole thing, I'm not liking what I'm seeing right now, and that's okay. I remove myself from it, or I just move on.
I want to give you a quick message before we get back to this episode. Unlock the secrets of your soul for free with Soul Notes. Say goodbye to feeling stuck and hello to the validation of your alignment. These weekly prompts are filled with reminders, gentle nudges, and sometimes a kick in the ass, all with love from your soul. Don't just take our word for it. Try Soul Notes for yourself and see the difference it can make in your life. Trust us, your soul and you will thank you. Just go to soulnote.org. That's SOULNOTE.org. Now back to our podcast.
Like, this isn't like, no, yes, no, like all this harsh energy. This is about softening and treating everybody as one thing. And that also leads me into recognizing that whatever you're going through, that you're feeling super alone about, a million other people are going through it too. You just don't know about it because you're not talking to people about it. We're all one, so we all have access and are tapped into this same energy streams. So this extra chaotic energy, everybody's processing that just each in their own way, depending on where you spend more of your time, in the ignorance, the awareness, or the growth, and how you flow between them.
The last energy update, we were talking about how things are moving so quickly. They're still moving quickly. It can be jolting, and it can be a lot of different things. So being mindful of that, because time within itself is, in a sense, collapsing, if you will. Like you still need a calendar and all this stuff. But if you notice, like, you're getting up at 6 o'clock and all of a sudden it's fucking 3, time is moving fast, because time is not a factor here. In these new energies, that makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. In this particular space and time, in the physical realm of things, yes, it does have some sort of value. Whether you see it or not, whether you feel it or not, change is happening around you and with you. So being aware of that is so incredibly important in this time. So, play nice with the energy. I'd say just play nice.
Definitely play nice. And if you really look at what's going on in the world, there's so many people like rallying the cry of, we want change, we want change. And then everything starts crumbling and getting hard, and everybody's like, oh my God. Like, and
change is happening.
And then something else happens.
You called it.
Yeah. So like a lot has to fall apart to usher in this change. So I know it can look scary. It can feel scary. It can feel deeply saddening and overwhelming and just plain not right, but it's crumbling and it's falling apart for a reason. So try not to just pick up. I think we talked about this last month too, in November. It's kind of spilling over still, not picking up that pitchfork and putting all your energy into fighting for, whatever you've decided is right or wrong, or against whatever's wrong. Again, this is softening and taking care of what's going on in here. So then that can start to spill over. And if that starts becoming more the predominant energy, then things start to calm down. Because picking sides and fighting against who you think is like opposite of you, it's just continuing the fighting energy. It is not bringing about the peace and the true change that people are calling for constantly. It's not us against them anymore. And the more you're seeing is like, you're wrong and you're this and that. Like, no. And I can't believe you believe that because this is the right way. No, that is not going to usher in the peace. That's going to be more of this chaos, more of what we don't want. So please, 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 please understand that time is speeding up because you keep asking for the change. And then as we ask and it falls apart, we're cocooning. We're like trying to cut ourselves off from things, and that's okay if you're doing your inner work.
I think it was this, yeah, it was a couple of days ago. My aunt posted something about that she is tired of the ugly. And she wasn't saying about physical, you know, she was talking about ugly hearts, ugly souls, ugly, you know, things like that. And the reason why it feels like that for some people is because the change is happening. There are things being taken apart energetically so that it can usher new energies, the kind of energies that we need that will sustain us in a different level, in a different way. So yeah, it's gonna feel yucky. It's gonna feel like you're naked in the fucking middle of winter. But trust, please trust that the work that you have done and the work that you are about to embark on is there to keep you warm, is there to sustain you, is there to, and it has all the tools that you want and need to get to the next part of things. Because let me tell you, these energies are all about leveling up. Either you're going to level up or life around you will level up, and then you'll find yourself kind of wondering what the fuck just happened. So do the work. If anything, do the work for yourself. Really, because it'll make things so much easier. Energetically, soul base, however that works for you. But that's what the energies are kind of, you know, doing. It's like a tornado or a hurricane stirring shit up really quick and dismantling stuff.
It is.
Just so that we can repair it.
Exactly.
So.
And to scatter the energies that have clustered so tight in such hardline ways. And if notice when she said that you know, being sick of the ugly hearts and ugly souls, notice if you're like, yeah, I know, me too. If that was your first thing. Because if that's your first thing, you're not truly sitting in awareness. That's kind of an ignorance part. Unless you shifted. Like when I heard it, I'm like, I'm sick of the ugly too. And then when I heard the hearts and souls parts, I'm like, I don't think there's ugly hearts and ugly souls. I think hearts and souls are the most beautiful parts of humans. I think there's ugly humans. And the reason the people are being ugly is because they're not walking this earth in line with their hearts and souls.
Right.
They've been hardened to things, or they're too scared to walk that way. It's become too hard, too scary, whatever it is. So this is a simple thing. Somebody can throw out something. You're like, yep, that's right. And then we move on with life. There's no questioning. There's no examining. And so how are you walking in this world? This is what we really want to leave you with this December update is, are you walking in a solid position from your soul self and with your heart fully open and full of love? Or are you just, you know, walking in the ugly? And that's December. That's how we're going to close out this year.
All right.
All right.
Be kind.
Peace.